Hello everyone and welcome to this special tutorials on DP700 Microsoft Certified Fabric Data Engineering Exam Preparation. As a Microsoft Fabric MVP, I challenged myself by taking the exam and I passed. The examination is much more difficult than the DP600 Fabric Analytics Engineering, and it requires you to have hands-on experience, read everything on Microsoft Fabric on the Microsoft Learn official website, and engage with special tutorials like this to stand a chance of passing. As you probably know, the skills measured in the exam are 1. Implementing and managing analytics solution, ingesting and transforming data, monitoring and optimizing analytics solution. The aim of the set of this tutorial I'll be releasing going forward is specifically designed to help you pass the exam at first attempt. I'll be covering practical aspects and emphasize key points you need to pay attention to. So if you follow this guide religiously, I'm certain you will pass the exam. So today I'm going to be covering how we can ingest data from Snowflake into Fabric Warehouse. And I'm going to be emphasizing some important things you need to pay attention to. So let's get started. Now in this case, I've got this DP700 exam special tutorial workspace. Now I'm going to quickly provision a warehouse. So I'm going to click on this new item and I'm going to search for the warehouse workload, and I'm going to call this one DP700 warehouse, and then I'm going to click on create. So this is going to provision that specific warehouse. Now I'm going to come to the Snowflake platform. Now in the Snowflake, I've got a warehouse named DP700 warehouse, and I've got a database named DP700 database. And then I'm using that database, and I've got a schema named DP700 schema, and then that is being used. Now I'm going to quickly perform a simple select star from a table named sales that is within that schema, and I'm going to run this. Now this just contains some data. I've got this order year, product, payment type, unit, price, and the sales amount. Now I want to ingest this data, which is one of the core skills that's been measured in the DP700 exam. I'm going to ingest into my Fabric warehouse, and I'm going to point some important thing you need to pay attention to. So I'm going to come here. Now we can see this DP700 warehouse is now provisioned. I'm going to click on new data pipeline, and I'm just going to call this one DP700 create to create the pipeline. Okay, so we can see we have to copy data into data warehouse. Now I can use this UI, but I'm just going to cancel this and use the canvas. So I'm going to click on pipeline activity, and then I just need a simple copy data activity. So I'm not going to bother about the general tab. I just want to focus on the key part. So I'm going to go to the source, and then for the collection, I'm going to choose the more option at the bottom. In the more option, I'm going to search for the Snowflake data source, and there we go. And then for the connection settings, we need the server name and the warehouse. Now to get to server, it's really easy. Now just go to your mail, and when you sign up, you're going to get your URL and your username. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to copy this as my dedicated login URL. Copy the whole thing. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to paste. Now we don't need the HTTPS, so I'm just going to select this part and delete. So this is the server name. So it must end with .snowflakecomputing.com. And then for the name of the warehouse, I'm going to come here and I can see the name of the warehouse. Just copy it. And then I'm going to paste. So for the connection credentials, let me just show you everything. Now I can rename this. Let me just call this one Snowflake connection. And then for the authentication, this is going to be username and password. Now I'm going to type in my username. So you actually define this when you set up your free account. So this is Abiola101, and I'm going to type in my password, and this is done. So I'm going to click on connect, and this is now successfully connected. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to click on test connection just to see the connection successful. Okay, there we go. So connection successful. Now we're going to go to the database. So I'm going to click on this drop down, and I want to choose my DP700 database, which is exactly what I've got in a database. And then we're going to use a table because we have our data stored in a table named cells. And I'm going to choose this table, and I can see the two namespace, the name of the schema, dot the name of the table. Now I can click on this preview data. And there we go. So we can see we have the data back. Now I'm going to close this window and I'm going to go to destination. So for the destination, I'm going to choose the connection, and then I'm going to choose the more option. Now, don't forget, we have this DP700 warehouse created. So I can go to my one lake. I can even see that here. So just click on it, and then this is populated automatically. Now, we can use an existing table if that is created, but I'm going to use the auto create table. So I can just define the schema and the table name. I'm going to call this one my data schema, and I'm going to call the name of the table sales. So once this is done, now I'm going to come to the settings. Now in the settings tab, I'm going to focus on the most important thing here, which is enable staging. Now it is impossible to copy data from the Snowflake data platform into Fabric Warehouse without enabling staging. So please pay strict attention to this environment. This must be enabled. Now when I uncheck this and I click on validate, I'm going to see this error. Copying data from Snowflake to warehouse is only supported when copy method is copy command or bulk insert and staging is specified. So you must enable this in order to proceed. So please pay attention to this. Now, you can actually choose the data store type to be your Fabric warehouse or an external location such as the Azure Blob Storage account. So since we have the functionality to now use the workspace, I'm just going to use the workspace. So this is really, really important for this job to proceed. So once this is enabled, I'm going to click on validate, and then we can say no error to see. So I'm going to click on the run functionality, and it's going to prompt me to save and run the data pipeline. So click on that. And then we can see the pipeline is now provisioned to be executed. So we can see the output, we have the pipeline run ID, we can see the name, we can see the status, we can see the run start, duration thus far, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to wait for some maybe 3 minutes or less, and this should give us a successful data integration from Snowflake to Fabric Warehouse. And there we go. So we can say the activity succeeded. So we are able to integrate the data. So I'm going to come to the warehouse, and then I can click on this refresh functionality, and I'm going to expand the schemas, and I can see the schema we created, which is this my data schema expand, and I'm going to expand the object, the table, and we should see our data in a moment. Okay, there we go. So we have the sales table, and then we have the order year, product, payment type, and so on and so forth. So in this case, we are able to move the data into the Fabric warehouse for downstream analysis. But as I've said, the most important thing you need to pay attention to is the settings. Always make sure that the enable staging is activated in order to move data specifically from the Snowflake to Fabric warehouse. So this is going to be the end of the first video, and I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to this channel. You can share this video with your friends who are also planning to take the examination, because there's a lot of videos I plan to release in the series. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.